Got it.
Good.
We're on live and on YouTube.
You want me to reclaim?
Yes, sir.
Good. Chandra Moser.
Hey, Daryl.
How are you, my friend?
How you doing?
I'm great,
Good.
thank you.
And then you can set me up as a co-host, D, and I'll be in the background.
Gotcha. You know if Mike's coming?
I can ping him.
Okay.
Hey, everybody.
John, did you get my voice message?
I did, and I sent you and a bunch of other people an email, Chandra. That contact info you want is in the email.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. So find it.
So, okay. Got it.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Dr. Tabor.
Now, are you also going to do the record? Oh, you already did the record. Okay.
It looks like it reverted back to me as the host for some strange reason, man.
Did it?
Yep.
Okay. Did we do the, I know you did the live YouTube stream, but did you do the recording?
No, but I can press that right now.
Do you need to be host for that?
Nope, but there you go.
Cool. Thanks. Hey, everybody, welcome to the meeting.
Good afternoon, Daryl.
Douglas, how are you?
All right.
Excellent. All right, let me put this host, reclaim the host real quick. All right, folks. Good afternoon on a wonderful, can you guys hear the game in the background? I'm wondering, maybe I need to turn that down before I get started.
You're good.
You're good, you can't hear it? Okay, good. All right, so welcome to our second meeting of 2020, what year is this, 23? I was thinking of 2024 only because I'm always looking at the pay through date for the new members when they pay, and it says January 1st, 2024. So I just had that on the brain. But anyway, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another meeting. Seems like it's been a very long time since we got together. We miss you all. And we're glad to say that you found your wonderful community of View Park, Windsor Hills, and View Heights in a very peaceful place. So welcome. And we have a number of agenda items that we need to address today, and we're going to kind of jump right into it. But before we do that, I just want to take one moment to just acknowledge our team because we don't acknowledge them enough, and I'm often up here talking quite a bit. Some of the other folks are not recognized. So let me just first start that we have a board, the UHA board, which runs the organization, which represents the 4,600 homes in the unincorporated Los Angeles County area of View Park, Windsor Hills, and View Heights. And that board consists of, let me see who's here, and I'll acknowledge those who are here. First, I see Douglas Roddy, who is one of our board members. Douglas, please say hello. I see Linda Schwartz, who's one of our board members and chair of our beautification committee.
Hi there.
Linda, please say hello.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see all of you. Good turnout.
Yeah, people will continue coming into the room as we move forward. Who else is here on the board that I would like to acknowledge? Helen, Dr. Helen Sellers is here. She's also on the board. So Helen, please say hello.
I saw Joanne came in too.
Joanne Fountain also long-term resident, one of our long-term board members, maybe our senior board member at the moment, I think. Go ahead and say hello. And any other board members who are here, please acknowledge.
This is Helen. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello.
We also have
1 second.
former board members and
Always.
founders, John Heath, who needs no introduction, and Tony Tabor, who also needs no introduction. But we'd also like to acknowledge them. And some of our other leaders in the organization in terms of running important committees. Let's recognize Angela Sherrick Bright. I saw her in the room. Angela, please say hello.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
The reason I wanted to do this is because I want you to know who the leaders in your organization are and who you should be talking to about various issues so we can keep you engaged and involved. So please remember who these people are. As we move forward in the meeting and they address certain issues, you come to know more about their areas of responsibility. Okay? So let's just start as we normally always start. Let me just make sure my friend is in the room to be sure we can start that way, which is Captain Harris. Captain Harrison from the Marina Del Rey station. Captain, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. He is here. Good. Well, welcome. We always like to start with you. We know your time is precious. We like to start right up front. Now we know that people have particular concerns about what's going on as regards to enforcement of crime and other issues. So let's just go ahead and see what the current update is in terms of what's going on in the community from your perspective.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good Saturday afternoon. I'll read over the statistics for this covers just the month of March. So I'll go over the statistics that all the crime related incidents that occurred last month. And I'll go through each category. And after that, I'll open up the floor to any questions that you guys may have and provide some additional input just as far as our station and our department as a whole. So just to begin, we had three robberies involving weapons last month. We had one aggravated assault. We had 4 residential burglaries. We had 2 burglaries that involved some other type of structure, which could be a garage or storage container. We had 11 grand thefts, which is the theft of property over $950. We had 10 vehicles stolen in the area. We had eight vehicle burglaries, and we had 7 petty thefts. So for us and our station, of course, I'm sure for you guys as well, all crime is not a good thing. However, our robberies have gone up. Our robberies have been going up over the last few months, and that is a pretty big concern for our station and our department as a whole. I had our cops team come out maybe about 3 weeks ago and provide some additional patrol saturation in the area to attempt to address some of the issues such as the robberies in the areas and the burglaries. Our burglaries, even though we did have 4, that's not necessarily high, unless of course you're one of the victims. That is definitely a concern, but our burglaries are actually down. So I'm happy to see that they're down. But like I said, our robberies are up quite a bit, and they've been pretty consistent over the last few months. They've been consistently higher than normal. As far as our vehicle thefts have been up for a while, and they've been up throughout the entire county, the theft of vehicles. What else? Our vehicle burglaries are a little higher than normal. So of course that is a concern of ours as well. And of course we let our deputies know to make sure they're patrolling the area, contacting people, letting people, reminding people to cars, reminding others to, just kind of secure their valuable items in their vehicles. And when it comes to the robberies, just being more cognizant and aware of your surroundings. There was an incident that happened recently. I won't say exactly where it happened, but I would just say for anyone who has repairs done to their home or someone that comes into their home who is not a relative or someone they know, please put your valuable items away, whether it's jewelry, whether it's money, whatever the case may be, anything that's valuable and people have kind of free access to your home. Sometimes that could be related to people coming back and attempting to burglarize your home or committing a home invasion robbery or what have you. So if they see that you deal with a lot of cash at home, which some people do, that kind of gives them an indication that you do carry large sums of cash in your home, and large sums of cash could be $5,000. So it's probably much easier for them to break into a home and steal $5,000 than robbing a store or another location and getting $5,000. So just definitely be aware of your surroundings. Please make sure that you are looking out for one another. If you hear or see a car pull up and you don't recognize it, and it's in front of your neighbor's home or in your neighbor's driveway, please give us a call and let us know. It's better. I think it's just ideal for us to go out, at least find out who that person is, and at least we can identify them. And if they don't belong there, then they will at least move on. But if they do belong there, then that's okay as well. So those are some of the concerns we've had, especially as far as our crime, but our robberies are up a little bit more than normal, and the robberies have involved weapons. So that is a concern of mine.
Captain Harrison, so do you have any indication, any assumptions even, as to the reason for this increase?
No, yes, I mean, I do, but it's not related to this specific area. It's just all over.
Okay.
Crime is up all over, and it's just starting to really bleed into our area as well. I think that's the issue. It's starting to bleed into our area, which before we were we did pretty good at keeping those type of incidents that didn't happen often, even though they did. But things are starting to bleed into other areas when normally they would occur maybe a little farther south of us or even east of us. But it's starting to bleed into our areas as well. But it's not just our area. Crime is going up a lot. And of course, because of that, sometimes you get it trickling into our area a little more than, we would like.
Okay. All right, no problem. So let's take a moment to see if there are any questions from the membership for Captain Harrison.
And while we're looking for questions, I can just add that I did speak to, I did have Deputy Ochoa contact the owner of Buddha Market in regards to what we spoke here. I guess the gentleman standing out front. The owner seems like a really, really good guy, but I don't think he really wants, I'll put it like this. The owner has to give us authority to do certain things on his property. So say if the man is on his property, we cannot do it. We cannot just drive up and grab this guy and remove him from the owner's property. Just like if someone is sitting on your steps, I cannot go up and just remove someone from your steps. You have to actually ask the person or have me ask the person to leave, and then we can follow through with a trespassing or whatever the case may be. So I don't believe the owner really wants that to be the response for this particular gentleman. But I did have Deputy Ochoa. She's going to reach out to at least our MET team and see if we can provide him some assistance But our hands are really kind of tied. As long as he's on the owner's property and the owner is a little hesitant, which sometimes it happens with us responding and how we may respond, it just makes the situation a little bit more difficult.
Okay. So,
I understand that.
right. All right. So I kind of got that sense the first time we talked about it and you went out there, that there was something going on with the owner, but as I'm a little confused by it. So he's told us that the guy is a nuisance and that it's affecting his business. Customers don't want to come, but when you come there, he's saying what? He doesn't want the guy's okay now, or what? I don't get it.
Well, what we told him, I had Deputy Ochoa, she explained to him what he would need to do to give us authority to address the man. And the man was there. Deputy Ochoa did speak with him. But we can only do what he gives us the authority to do. So Deputy Ochoa just told him that, look, you have to call us and let us know that this man is trespassing on your property and you would like him to leave. If he does not do that, there's nothing we can, do. I mean, we can't kidnap the guy and move him down the street just because we want to. So the owner has to call us, but I think he's a little hesitant because he does. I guess I don't know if they built some type of relationship with the man. He was even saying that some of the community members, helped the man out. I mean, this is just some of the things he was relaying to me, or to Deputy Ochoa.
It seems like he's been contradictory though, because now I'm concerned because I stuck my neck out on his behalf to try and get something done.
Right.
And so on one hand, he does want something done, but he's saying he doesn't.
He's a little hesitant, at least as far as us getting involved. I don't think he wants the man to get in trouble.
You think it's just from a law enforcement standpoint, he doesn't want to take it to that level, but he wants something done.
Correct.
Which speaks to the efforts of Holly Mitchell's staff on Care First.
Right, and just us trying to give him some mental health assistance. So I don't think he wants to call us, because the reality of it is that if he wants the man to leave and he doesn't really leave, then we have the authority to arrest him based on him, filing a trespass report. But I don't think he wants him arrested. Right. We don't want to have to arrest the guy either. We would prefer that we can get him some help. I'm trying to understand his point. I don't think he wants law enforcement to arrest him. Now, what other assistance we can provide is really only, some type of community outreach or our MET team. That's really it. But I believe the Board of Supervisors office is attempting to provide some other resources there to help him out. So hopefully this takes.
Yeah, I mean, they said they were going to do something, and so I don't know what that's going to be, but I'm waiting patiently to see how that, because we're really curious to see how that program is going to work anyway, with that and the other issues with regard to homeless encampments and so forth, not just that one individual at the business, right?
Right. And we would prefer that, actually, in law enforcement. We would prefer that. There are resources that there's no reason to go and criminalize someone who's homeless, but the community members do have concerns about that as well. So if we can address it, in another form, as opposed to tying up our resources with something like that, we can deal with our robberies and burglaries as opposed to dealing with, those issues if other resources are there.
Okay, before I turn it over to questions, I just want to say that in relationship to that, and not to step on your message, Angela, because I know you're going to get into some of this, but specifically on the issues that I raised with the supervisor's office, and I just want to inform the membership, because we're talking and they may not know what we're really talking about here, but that we contacted both Captain Harrison as well as Supervisor Mitchell's office about these three concerns that we had specifically. One of them, based upon complaints from the members, one of them was the Buddha Market homeless gentleman who's been a nuisance, disturbing customers and the community, and both the business indicated to us they thought it was interrupting business, and so something needed to be done. Anyway, so there's a program that the supervisor has been looking to implement, and we're trying to determine where it is and what stage it's at, and set them some specific problems that would relate to this specific new program she has. And so that's one of them, the Buddha Market, the homeless gentleman who's been an issue for some of the folks there. There was another issue on Vernon near Crenshaw and the alley. I can't remember the streets specifically. If someone can remember for me, correct me on it. But there was an alleyway where there was a homeless encampment that members contacted us about. I think you said, I don't know if you guys are working on that one, Captain Harrison, or that also is something that Holly Mitchell's staff is going to try and deal with on the Care First map.
I know we dealt with that a while ago. Actually, Sergeant Collins did, my community relations sergeant, where I guess we didn't find any homeless people there. They kind of abandoned their property, and we had Public Works go out and do a cleanup. But of course, they are some sort of a cleanup. But they came right back. And now Supervisor Mitchell's office is addressing it based on the email that I saw. So I'm going to allow them to do, their part and deal with that. And if they need our help in any way, we're here to help. But I'm definitely going to allow them to address it because we have, resources that we don't have.
Okay. Yeah. So folks, what I'm talking about is that there's been this ongoing, discussion about how we handle certain kinds of quality of life nuisance type issues where it's kind of on the borderline of, is it something that requires law enforcement or is it something that requires, mental health support and other kinds of resources and, services that the county can provide. And so these are a couple of the issues that we wanted to kind of specifically use to determine how this program could possibly work without necessarily having to, use law enforcement. So that the alley near Victoria, that's what it was, Victoria and Vernon, the Buddha Market issue. And the third issue was, of course, the ongoing issue we've had with Ruben Eagle Park. So those three issues, the supervisor's office has promised us they're going to address and attempt to resolve with their efforts to try and emphasize care first as opposed to law enforcement and arrests and so forth, taking people into custody. That's where that is. So anyway, so based upon that, I'm going to open it up to see if folks have questions for Captain Harrison. Okay, I see Chandra Mosley's hand is up, John.
Yes, Daryl.
Yep.
First, I wanted to share, and I just put it in a chat. When I attended the last CPAC meeting with 77th Division, we learned that Karen Bass has contracted this circle program, and is specifically for the situation that you're talking about. And I put his, that's his email address, Keenani. They're located at Slauson and Western, but they have, they're broken up in districts, just like everything else. And so contact him. They come out 24/7 and they offer these people mental health services, not housing, but shelter for however many days, as well as, I forgot the other thing, but anyway, they're open 24/7. So I just wanted to make sure you guys got that. So I found the link, the Circle program, I forgot what it stood for, but Karen Bass has put a lot of money and they're just getting on up and running. And that was over a month ago. So they should be, moving quite fast. They're just waiting for people to call them. But like I said, then at the meeting, we don't know. So if we don't know, we can't call. But anyway, that's the email address. The question I had for Captain Harrison was due to the crime has increased on Ring. You get these beats like almost 24/7 about someone's vehicle being stolen or someone being attacked in some way. And so I wanted to know as far as the added patrol, being that we have this uptick in these types of accidents. And in addition, the people are driving like they're all possessed and they're running through lights, they're crossing double yellow lines, they're they're doing a whole array of different things. And every time I'm out there, which is rare, but when I am out there, it's like they must wait for me to come out. But anyway, and I look around, there's no CHP, there's no sheriff, there's no LAPD, like all law enforcement seem to have vanished somewhere. And I wanted to get your insight on that.
Well, as far as our patrol, our patrol numbers are pretty much the same. There are some resources that I do reach out to that are within our department, but those resources are used throughout the entire county, so I can't use them every day. But as I stated before, the cops team was out about a few weeks ago at our request and provided some additional patrol saturation in the area. We probably had about 15 more cars out on and that includes the water side and the east end. The east end, the area where you guys live, and the water side being the marina. We probably had about 10 to 15 additional cars, patrol cars out patrolling, but that's not every day. We do have a certain number of cars that patrol the area weekly per shift, and that number doesn't really change because that's the number that we're allotted, basically, able to field. Because of the increase in crime, you do have an increase in calls for service quite often. So as far as deputies patrolling, that is a part of their job. However, if they get a call for service and they have to take a report, they may have to be with that particular victim for 45 minutes to an hour investigating whatever their crime they're reporting. So we do patrol, our deputies do patrol, and I guess the difficult part is you may not see them, but they are out there. And as far as traffic, we do have CHP, even though we help out with traffic as well, but CHP is the agency that we partner with, and they usually respond to traffic. And, quite often we'll do some things on Angeles Vista. I can't really say what we do because, if you knew what we did, then I just leave it at that. And quite often, even with our deputies, most of the people that we stop and cite are people who live in the community. They're not people just driving through. So most of the people that are not stopping at signs and speeding in the area, quite often they are community members leaving to go to work or coming back home or vice versa. So I think traffic in general has gotten worse. I think crime in general has gotten worse all over. And I'm not giving you guys an excuse. I'm just being honest with you. Crime has gone up all over. But we have actually done pretty well compared to others. And we're going to do whatever we can to try to keep our numbers as low as possible. So whenever I have the opportunity to bring additional resources here, like our cops team, and we have a parole compliance team, and even our detective bureau will come out and do patrol saturation and targeted, specific enforcement. We do that, and I will continue to do that as long as I have the ability to. It's just that every day we will not have extra cars in the field. We just have a certain number, and I don't want to give that number out, but there are only a certain number of cars we can field each shift, each day. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you for that, Chandra. We have another hand up, Odette Matheny. Is your hand up?
Yes,
You can
yes, my
unmute.
hand is up. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great. I wanted to go back to the home burglaries. Obviously, that's more concerning to me. Do we know things like time of day or evening if they're using weapons on the home burglaries? And, if homes are generally alarmed or not alarmed, any information in that regard?
Just from my experience, I would say the more things you have on your home, the less likely you are to be a victim. And, I can give you 3 or 4 things, which, not everyone is willing to do. But if you have bars, a dog, an alarm, cameras, the chance of you being burglarized goes down quite a bit. The less you have, the more those chances go up. Now, in regards to the time of day that these incidents occur, most of them are during the daytime, but sometimes they do occur in the afternoon. And what I would be aware of, just you as residents, I would be aware of people going around and knocking on doors. Sometimes it's innocent, but sometimes they are casing. And they may not be the person that knocked on your door and gets back in the vehicle, may not be the person who's actually going to commit the burglary. But once they leave and find out you're not at home, they're going to call someone who may be a few blocks over. And it may be 2 or 3 people in the vehicle. And they'll give them an address and say, hey, this person is not at home. And they don't have a dog. They don't, they have an alarm, but they don't have bars, whatever the case may be. It may be a little easier target. So that happens. That does happen where we have people watching. They're watching you leave. They watch you come home. So just please be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of people sitting in front of your home. Don't just leave your home. Call us. Give us a call. Let us go find out who that person is, as opposed to just leaving and then, that person doesn't necessarily break into your home, but they could be breaking into your neighbor's home. So the folks, the young men and women who are, because most of them are young men and women who are committing these crimes, are really getting really, really sophisticated. And they are smart, and they do pay attention to how residents move to and from their homes. And as I stated before, please be aware of who you allow into your home, even if it's the pool guy or girl or, someone coming to fix a plumbing issue that you may have. Just really pay attention to who's coming into your home, because you never know if that person knows someone and they're giving them information to return. So you don't want to have any items that appear to be expensive just sitting around in your home.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Do we have any other questions for Captain Harrison before we move on? Good. This is moving along just perfectly. And I did want to just say one thing, just because I got a quick direct comment in the chat sent to me by one of our members, Captain Harrison. And I know the answer to this, but I just want to bring it up for the benefit of everyone. She was asking about someone that was loitering in the park after hours, the typical kind of thing, smoking weed and playing music or whatever it is they do up there. And she called the Park Sheriff's Bureau. I asked her, were they inside the park or were they outside the park? And I just did that just to clarify for folks who patrols what. So could you just clarify that for folks in terms of your responsibility as relates to around the park perimeter versus Park Sheriff's Bureau?
Right, you're talking about Ruben Ingo Park on Mount Vernon. Yeah, it's a small park, but the reality is it is a park, and we do have a Parks Bureau. So anything inside the park area, Parks Bureau would respond to. Now, if it's an emergency or something major, of course we're going to show up, and we're going to deal with the issue, and we'll allow Parks Bureau to respond and take over. But if it's outside the park, someone's parked, on the curb line in front of the park, then definitely give us a call, because that is our responsibility.
Okay.
So Parks Bureau handles the interior of the park. We handle the street, and you can say everything. I assume that will be west of the park.
Okay. Claudette, you still have your hand up. Is that just because you didn't put it down, or you still had another question? If not,
No questions. I'm sorry. I'll lower it.
All right, so we did have another. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Captain.
I was going to say, I didn't get I don't remember the lady's name who was talking about traffic. Even if you have a specific area that you can tell me about, I can definitely, I won't tell you what I'll do, but if you can give me the location, I'll see what I can do for that area over there, because we do have tools that we can use.
A lot is going on over at La Cienega. La Cienega going southbound from Slauson.
On La Cienega?
Mm-hmm. They've had some major, it's a wild, wild west over there.
So you're talking about
usually towards the evening time, about 3 and 4, which is concerning because that's when the children normally get out of school. So, and then as far as the park is concerned, on the outside of the park, again, where children are coming back and forth to school, there's a lot of used condoms over there. Very gross. Very gross.
Okay. Okay.
Just thrown out.
I got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Harrison. So now, real quickly, Hazel and then Helen.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for coming on to answer questions. I have contacted Public Works about, at first I thought it was just dumping, which would be on the west side of La Brea before you get to the gas station. And I don't know if it's someone living there or if it's just dumping, but I did send an email to Public Works about the dumping and nothing's been done about it. And it's been close to 6 months. So I don't know if the reason nothing has been done to clean up that area, it's behind the bushes and all, is that someone's living there and you can't bother them. How is that being dealt with? And are you aware of that, or anyone in the homeowners association aware of what I'm talking about as you're driving? That would be south on La Brea on the west side, right before you get to Slauson. You'll see it looks like just dumping, and I don't know if it's an encampment of just one person.
So you said southbound La Brea or northbound La Brea? I mean, there's four.
Southbound. I know that there's several. It's southbound, right before you get to Slauson.
She's talking about that area near the DWP yard, right before you get to the gas station, where those people get in the cut where you can't see them in the trees.
That's northbound. Then you talk about northwest. I think you're talking
It
about.
is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's northbound? Yeah. Oh, no. I'm talking about southbound.
Okay, you're talking about the little grass area on the west side of the street behind the gas.
Next
to the DWP yard.
Well, I'll do this. I mean, either or. I'll have someone go by there and look and see if someone is actually staying there. I know we had an issue there before with someone actually staying on both sides.
Right.
And we were able to get that person to, we were able to address that. But I'll look into both sides.
Okay, and I did say southbound, right? Going towards the airport.
Yes, you did.
Okay, yeah, it's on the southwest corner.
We know exactly what you're talking about, Hazel. As Captain Harrison said, it's an ongoing issue.
Okay, right. All right, thank you.
I think that's going to probably be addressed later in the meeting, actually, probably.
Okay, I thank you very much.
Helen?
How do I get?
Okay, thank you, Captain Harrison, for coming on and giving us answers to some major questions. You mentioned the vehicles parked outside of the park, and I've observed marijuana smokers in their cars smoking, sitting right there in front of the park. So my question is, what is the practice that has been implemented as far as getting rid of these people who are smoking outside of the park? That's question number one. And question number two is related to pods. Well, a neighbor of mine has come to me twice about pods, one pod at 5200 Honeycrest. So if you could address those two questions, I really would appreciate it.
Is that like construction? Is it like a pod where they're storing like clothes or anything like that?
I don't know what they're storing, but it's been there for over 6 months.
Yeah, temporary storage parked on the public right of way, Cap.
Okay, so 5200 Honeycrest. So I'll have someone look into that.
Okay.
And then you said the smoking fork. I mean, whether it's a park, whether it's in front of your home, if someone's out there smoking, give us a call. And we need to go out and let that person know that they can't do that there. So that's our response to it. So in the event that they don't want to move along, then of course we will take the appropriate action. But please give us a call. We want you to give us a call because we want people to know that they cannot sit in front of people's homes or parks or whatever the case may be and smoke marijuana. They need to do that at home. So that's my response to it. So please give us a call. Call and let us get, and when you call, please make sure you have a vehicle description. I mean, and it's just general information regarding anything. Please make sure you have a vehicle description. If you can get a license plate, get a license plate for us. If you can get the description of the people in the car, get that for us. I'm not saying you have to go up and with that person, but if you're able to get that, take a picture of it, please do that. So, because those are questions that the deputy or the employee who's going to answer the phone, that person is going to ask. So they're going to ask a description of the car, what are they doing, whatever the case, you know, what's the license plate number? They need that information so we can make sure that we contact the right person or the right people.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Captain Harrison, for your valuable time and your reporting. We appreciate it.
No problem. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Great.
Thank you.
You do the same, please. Okay, so the next item is real quickly is update on traffic safety. Some of you may be aware and may have attended the meeting we had recently at 54th Street Elementary School. Our traffic safety chairperson, Richard Rice, is out of the country, so he's not here to report. So I'm just going to give a quick update, and maybe Tony, who is traffic and public safety OG Emeritus in View Park and Windsor Hills, can chime in here and update us on anything else. But we had a good meeting. We could have had more people there, but we had a good turnout. And we met with the DPW's consultants who are working on a specific, what we call a community traffic safety plan for our area. And we have been asking for some time. Fortunately, now we are working collaboratively with the county to do just that. We got input directly at that meeting, and we had prior meetings to that with the community. And we're going to announce another community meeting. We're going to try to get more people there next time. So when you receive the notices, please pay attention to it. We also promoted our activity at 54th Street Elementary School meeting via our social media pages to let people know that we were doing this. Some video and photos of our activity there, just kind of working with the maps and looking at various traffic areas that we know are problems and pointing them out to the consultants so we can collaboratively develop specific customized solutions for areas that we know have been danger zones for some time. We've got a lot of feedback from folks from that social media activity, giving us additional recommendations that we did not already have in the plan. So rest assured that we are also adding those. Somebody just told me Richard is present. Okay, he's chiming in from somewhere around the world. But anyway, so progress there in terms of getting all of the specific problems. So if you still have problems, you weren't able to make the meeting, you didn't submit anything, and you know of something, go ahead and send it to us at info@UHAWHVP.org. UHAWHVP. Everybody should be able to know that one. UHA, United Homeowners Association, Windsor Hills, WH, and then VP, View Park. So send us an email if you have some specific traffic safety areas that we need to address while we're developing this community traffic safety program. Anything else, Richard or Tony?
I thought Richard was, it looked like he just turned off his mute. There he goes.
Yeah, my wireless here is really bad. I'm in Germany right now. But one other area that we're looking at is increase in parking issues related to the housing that's going up along Crenshaw Boulevard. we're starting to get prepared for those problems, and we're in the community as if they experience increased parking problems due to the buildings that are being built along Crenshaw without parking. So that's another area of concern.
Great, okay. Okay, anything else?
I think you summed up everything perfectly, but one thing that I would like to add for our neighbors to really get involved in this process. And if there's any recommendation, complaint, any input at all, if you can't attend the in-person meeting, then as Daryl mentioned, to submit any information that you have, any complaints that you have, any suggestions, recommendations to info@uhawhvp.org. And I believe they mentioned that they may have, they're thinking about the meeting possibly early on a Saturday afternoon for the next meeting. That might be a possibility that would afford others that work during the weeks to attend that meeting. And also maybe, what is that process where it's dual Zoom and in-person? What is it called?
Dual Zoom and in-person?
Yeah.
There's a name for that, like hybrid or something?
Yeah. No, it was something like that. Someone mentioned that not at that meeting, but at another meeting, could they use that resource or that tool? So they also said they would check into that.
Okay, great.
But it's important, and if at all, try just reiterating how important it is that they provide their input.
Okay, great, thanks. I see a hand up, Jesse?
Yeah,
Jesse?
I'm not, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm confused about this. Who is having the meetings that you want us to turn up to? Because I'm often confused, being in the county, I don't know whether it's appropriate for me to go to these meetings about all this construction on Crenshaw. I believe it's a problem for my community, but I'm not sure that I have any standing.
Construction on Crenshaw meeting?
Well, when they're talking about all of these apartment buildings that are being built with no parking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I missed an essential part of Helen's, the beginning of what she said. She said it's important that we show up, and I agree. And I want to know where I'm supposed to be showing up.
Okay,
You attended the last meeting, Jesse. That's the meeting that we were referencing. The meeting I think Richard was talking about, or the issue that Richard was talking about, was the parking issue that there have been complaints about related to the construction Crenshaw, and that impacts certain areas of View Park. I think that's what he.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So your concern is what? I'm sorry, say what's your concern, Jesse?
Well, when we talk about the construction on Crenshaw and the lack of parking and the degradation in the quality of life in the neighborhood, which is what people are, there's a big thing on next door right now about permitted parking showing up in places and people not expecting it. But I know that I don't have any, I'm confused about what my role as a View Park resident would be there.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let me do this, okay? Because I think Angela may be able to address this, but I don't want her to address it here. I want to address it as a part of her report. So let's just table it, Angela, and I'll come back to you on that.
Okay.
Because he also has to meet, and this is an issue that kind of overlaps with traffic safety and land use, because people are approaching it from different angles. So that's why you see a lot of different people talking about it. But because she specifically with the construction projects have dealt with those folks, I want her to address that, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So if nothing else is there anything final, any other questions or anything on traffic safety? It's pretty much under control, and it's just a matter of finalizing this plan and making sure that it reflects the community's concerns, and that's the biggest issue. So once they're complete, does it include everything that we think it needs to include that's going to make our community residents and those who travel in this area safer? Okay, all right, so let's move on from traffic. And let me just see if there's any additional, I'm gonna address one issue, and I'll see Tony and Angela, if you guys have any other updates for us with regard to some of these concerns we may have on some of the utilities. So I just wanted to say to folks real quick that there is a the expiration of our waste management contract, Universal, coming up. Well, actually expires at the end of this year or next year, but they're working on a new contract for waste management, and they sent out a survey since our last meeting. We announced in our last meeting. Since our last meeting, they sent out a survey and postcards. It was supposed to have gone to all residents. I don't know if it did or not. I'm curious to see if anyone received it. They did contact us about it. I'm gonna see if I can just show it to you real quick. Hold on a second. Maybe I can share it and just ask you guys if you saw this or not. But they were supposed to send it out to everyone. Okay, let's see here.
So Daryl, is there a bidding on that?
Yes, and they're like in the process of that now. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
So this is what they sent out as an announcement for the meeting and then a survey. So anybody remember receiving this?
I went to the meeting on the 25th, which, I mean, there may be, I don't know, 12, 15 people were there. They said that they had sent out some kind of mailing, and somebody in the meeting had a copy of a card, but I didn't get the card. I can't even, I couldn't even remember how I knew to go to the meeting. And I think their communication is kind of lacking. And I said that at the meeting.
It is, because we got some of the stuff that they sent us very last minute. So, but I just want to see if anybody had gotten it. And I think that maybe some folks did, and a lot of people maybe didn't. So I'm going to take that down. But I just want to show that just so you can make a connection whether or not you think you saw it or not. But anyway, so just so you know, I mean, I'll try to get some additional information and send it out to you so that you get it directly from us about where they are with it. But it's going to be an ongoing process this year. Well, it expires at the end of the year.
The contract originally expired, was supposed to expire in July, and it's been extended by 6 months. The bidding process has been extended by 6 months. So now it's due to expire in January. I happen to have had the original flyer from from 10 years ago when we met over in the meeting room over in Kenneth Hahn Park. And I had all my notes and everything from there to ask what was going on and what they were considering. And I was pretty disappointed that there were very few people there, and they were both View Park and Ladera Heights. So really there were a handful of people from each place, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, we've got to do a much better job of getting folks engaged, both in terms of our efforts, in terms of the agency's efforts, and in terms of the actual people who need to attend efforts. We all of us need to try and get more engaged, because these are things that affects us. And sometimes we come in on the back end after things have happened and then wonder why they happened, but weren't engaged on the front end when the decisions were being made. And so if there's specific issues with regard to waste management you're concerned about, we need to make sure we're engaged with them as they are supposedly getting feedback from the community that helps inform any changes that they're going to make in how they collect our waste.
Well, right. 20 years ago, when we went to the bins that we have, the carts that we have now, we had a big meeting over at what was then the Foundation for Junior Blind. And that was a big mess the meeting was really kind of ridiculous. But then 10 years ago, when it came up again, it was much more organized. And there were a lot of people at the meeting to understand what was going to happen. I don't know where things fell apart this time. I think in several different
I think the
places.
communication process is just bad. We, we dealt with the same issues with regard, and this is all DPW because they're also doing the community traffic safety plan. Different departments within DPW, but still DPW. So we're going to try and get them to get information to us, and we'll try and customize information back to the members to get them involved, and we'll follow up to make sure that the information is going out.
Well,
I'm not sure.
One of the things that came up, and I asked about it, has to do with the trash pickup, the cleanup days when trash is gathered, and how they're supposed to pick it up, and what kind of communication they have with the homeowners associations, which seems to be pretty bad. And did they not get back to you, Daryl? Because I specifically mentioned that at the meeting. I asked, are we supposed to wait 6 months until something gets done about this?
This is for who now?
For for Public Works. For Public Works, when we were talking about the universal way, the what is supposed to be in the contract. They talked about what will be added in the contract, what might be changed in the contract. And I said, 10 years ago, we were told that they would be picking up like in alleys and things. And what happens to the trash when we have cleanup days? Because I think I remembered at a meeting that there was a question of how does that trash get picked up? And so I said, you need to contact the homeowners associations before January because people are constantly doing cleanup right now. And I take it, Daryl, that nobody contacted you.
Well, they did, but it was last minute and we couldn't get anything out in the time frame that they wanted and that made sense.
No. I'm saying when we have cleanup days, when we have cleanup, somebody is supposed to be in contact with Universal Waste to have the trash picked up after a cleanup day. There is no last minute because it's constant. If
when you say cleanup day, you're talking about us initiating a cleanup day?
Yeah, when they say, oh, we're going to have cleanup when, I don't know if Linda's still doing it, but she used to have, people used to meet and we had bags and bags of trash. How does that get picked up?
Mm-hmm. Linda, do you know anything about how you and Dawn were dealing with that? With the trash, is there trash collected and how is it picked up when you guys do the beautification?
Yeah, Dawn is the one that has had contact with the county she has a special person that she talks to, the county picking it up, but it has not been Universal Waste. And we haven't tried to contact them as far as I know, but I remember now that Jesse, you did mention that, but I don't think Dawn, I told her and she said she would contact them, but I don't know that she did. So I kind of fell back from that because Dawn usually takes the lead, but I can contact them again. I mean, I have my own issues with Universal Waste about eating trash cans and picking up, recycle along with the regular trash but that's a big issue to me. Mm-hmm. The same truck at the same time will pick up a black can and a recycle can. So what's the point of us recycling? But anyway, back to Jesse, I will contact them and ask them again about that part of their contract when we do have cleanup days, because that's usually on a Saturday and they're not even out working on a Saturday. So thank you for reminding me.
Let me just share, just in case people aren't looking at the chat, that because I asked a question, I would see people said they did. Joanne, I like Universal Waste. I do a lot of bulky pickups and they always come through. Michelle comments about our waste company can be sent to trash. This is, if you guys want to look in the chat, there's an email there, trash@pw.lacounty.gov. If you want to submit comments, Sharon Powell says she received the card, but 2 days before the meeting, like us. I wasn't able to attend. And then Michelle also says Universal Waste collects green and black bins together on one side of the street and separately on the other side. This happens every week on my street. It is a breach of contract with the county. Everyone should send email every week to trash@pw.lacounty.gov to tell what Universal Waste does. Okay. All right, so cool. Yeah, so we will I will circle back. They did send an email, so I'm gonna follow back up with the person who sent us the email about your concerns and see if we can get a more definitive, comprehensive statement about where they are with everything and the feedback they need from us, and then we'll just send it out directly to you ourselves as soon as we get it, so we can, because we want to have input in this contract, because there may be some specific things that are important to us that we could influence. All right. Let's see what's next. So Angela, is there any updates from SCE while we're talking about utilities? Is there anything else we need to discuss about that, or that's pretty much?
SCE did meet with Jesse regarding solar panels and I think also electric vehicles. And they also sent something that we can, as a resource, that we a list of contractors that can be used, and also other resources, information about permitting. So we'll be putting that on the website, both of those resources.
Okay.
And the other, in terms of utilities, AT&T has been out. I talked to one neighbor, Cynthia, who actually talked to them when they were out, and they were actually laying fiber optics lines. So that's probably another meeting that we want to have, just to get an overview of what their plan is and when they actually plan to turn those on for us to use. So, and I do already have a contact for AT&T.
Okay.
So that's information on utilities. Do you want me to just keep going on land use stuff?
Let me just first ask, did anybody get any updates on, I didn't get any, that's what I'm asking, because I was on the email list when they were updating us on the street sweeping and no parking sign. Have you heard anything else about that, Tony?
No, nothing other than the plans haven't changed.
Okay, all right. But
The
no,
date-
they still haven't given a specific date though, right?
The date, no, has not been determined, but it's a go.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, yeah, go ahead, Angela, you can continue.
So from last time, we talked about several concerning projects that were, or issues with permitting. And I'll report on some of them that I talked about last time, and then a couple of new ones that we're taking a look at. So 5538 La Brea, and this may be the site that the person was asking about. I'm not sure if it is or not, but there was a container on the site, and there were homeless people living in it. And we have since talked with regional planning and gotten enforcement involved, and the container had graffiti on it. So the graffiti has been painted out, the container has been locked. What's problematic is there's still a concrete slab there that I think that homeless people sometimes are living in or around. And so regional planning has started the process to say that the permit is inactive for that site. And once that happens, they'll be contacting the property owner and giving them an opportunity to respond. And if they don't respond, the permit will be pulled. So it's a pretty long process. We've been looking at this property for several months, as you know. The next property is 5005 South La Brea, which is the Summit Hotel. There was a shooting there a few months ago. And I reported on this last time also. There needs to be a conditional use permit for the hotel, and there's not one currently. So we've been talking again with regional planning, and they've been meeting with county council. So there'll be some movement on that between the owner of that property and county council. 4422 Slauson, which is has been turned into an office. We had some concerns about that property because there were no permits taken out. There was electrical work done, mechanical and plumbing. Regional Planning and Public Works have issued a notice of violation to that property owner. So we'll wait to see if the property owner responds. We had a meeting at Monteith Park yesterday, and thank you for the board members who attended. Daryl, Helen, Tony was there, Linda was there. I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody else who was there.
Roddy.
That's right, Douglas was there. And we had a really good meeting with Public Works. And we talked about the Monteith Park Stormwater Improvement Project. And I'll just give you a really quick overview of that project. So basically, they are going to be putting in stormwater catching equipment, which will all be underground. However, there will be an above ground trench to catch the water, but there'll be some improvements that are going to be done to the park. We will not be losing any trees, which was a concern. In fact, they'll be adding 3 additional trees. They'll be putting in some sidewalk and a few new benches. The project itself, with respects to the stormwater and what it's supposed to do, it will be gathering stormwater, rain, runoff, and probably about 25 million gallons per year is what they are estimating. And that's enough to supply a family of 4 families for a year. The downside that we found out yesterday is that this park is something, I guess they call it kind of a passive park, which means they're not supposed to have events there. And the neighbors in the area had been having film night, and they've been having jazz festivals there. So what we plan to do is wait until the construction is over, which is supposed to be done in 2024, and then have meetings with the supervisor's office to see if there's not a way that we can do some variances to allow the neighbors to continue to have those activities that they had at the park. So again, it was a very good meeting. We got a lot of information. And for those of us who were there, any other comments or any other thing that I missed? Okay, so I'll move on. The Community Standards District, and this is something that we've been working on for a while. There are 29 community standards districts within the unincorporated areas of Los Angeles. And what a community standards district does, and I think I talked about this at the last meeting also, it sets standards out for our community that may be different than what is for the rest of the county. And the reason that we would want to do something like that is for things that people have talked about today. So we've been talking about parking concerns. So one of the things that we're looking at is, as Richard mentioned, maybe doing a survey of homes that are around the areas where they're doing construction on Crenshaw, or if they were doing construction on Slauson, and looking at maybe putting up some type of restricted parking. With new regulations that have come out, new regulations and laws that have come out, a lot of these large construction projects that are multifamily construction do not require parking. And because they don't require parking, the people that are living in those new apartment buildings or new condos will have to park someplace. And because they're so close to View Park, our concern is that they'll be parking on the streets in front of some of the homes in the area and just create a lot more traffic issues than we currently have. And so because of that, we're looking at the Community Standards District to try to respond to some of the concerns that we're hearing may happen. And we want to be proactive because, as Daryl said, once these problems happen, it's hard to get rid of them. To be proactive is to put something in place before it happens. And that's our goal. In addition to looking at parking issues, we're going to be looking at height issues. We've had some new projects come in that are taller than what we think they should be in our community. We're also going to be looking at filming issues. We've had a lot of concerns about filmings happening in the community and those filmmakers not being respectful to the neighbors. So if you have any interest in working on the Community Standards District, we have a committee and we've been meeting every 2 weeks to put information together. Our plan at this point is to put together a document, send it to the board, and then send it to the residents so that you will have an opportunity to take a look at that and make comments. But if you have any interest on working on that committee, we would be more than happy to have you. So please send something to UHA and your name and phone number, and certainly would welcome you to the committee. Other things that that we're looking at, there are a couple of new developments that we have concerns about. One of the neighbors brought to my attention 5748 Brynhurst, which is kind of on the edge of View Park, but it's still View Park, and it's still something that we need to be concerned about, because remember, once something happens in one area, generally it becomes pervasive and it starts to move. So this is a development where they want to put up a building that is 5 stories. It will have 31 dwellings, and it will only reserve 5 units for very low income, which means it's not really affordable housing, right? So, that's a project we're looking at. Chandra called me yesterday and told me about another project, which is 4555 West 63rd Street, which we'll be taking a look at. Couple of other things, we're still waiting to we've made our comments back for the View project to the EIR, and we haven't heard back from that yet. And then there's a residential parking ordinance, which we have completed comments that we're going to be submitting to the Board of Supervisors. So our board is currently looking at that, and once they approve it, we'll submit that to the board. Just comments on parking and how what the county is going to do in terms of compliance and enforcement. And I think those were all the things that that we're working on in land use.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Angela. Does anyone have any questions on any of these land use issues we're dealing with, or UHA's overall concern about housing and development, or any other related issues? And I'll just say that for benefit of the land use committee, this is the first time I'm announcing that they've been on my case about approving their housing policy. So I want Tony to know that I am here publicly stating for the record today that the board officially approved the affordable, or what they call the affordable housing policy that the land use committee drafted for our approval, with one slight change, and the only change is the title. And we're suggesting that it be called the housing and development policy, so that it's more broader than just focusing on affordable housing, which includes their focus on this community standards district. So they're full steam ahead now. There's no reins pulling them back. Just want to state that for the record. Okay, do we have any comments or questions about housing and development policy, about community standards district, about the View, about parking issues related to construction along the Crenshaw and other corridors? I see.
So Helen, I think you, yeah.
Yeah, I have one question, Angela. 4422 Slauson, is that dark building?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
The dark building?
Yes, it's painted black, I think.
Yeah.
Right, you can't see inside. It's been a little bit concerning because we can't see inside, and also that when the inspector went out, he had to go out multiple times because they wouldn't let him in. So he actually had to go around the back to gain entrance. So anytime an inspector goes out and cannot gain access, that's a concern for us.
Oh, one more question. I think I saw a for sale sign on a commercial property over there. Did you guys get a chance to look at that? unit that's right in the corner there. Used to be a car dealership, then it was something else and something else. Have you seen that on Slauson?
I haven't seen it, but if you give,
It's on the south side of the street,
is it by the Jehovah Witness across?
across the street.
Okay, okay.
I think it used to be a DWP, yeah, Southern California Edison, what it used to be years ago.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Take a look. Okay.
Hazel, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Very quick. 4422, is that the building where the pool, the family-owned pool maintenance?
No, it's actually 4721, which we have looked at also. So there's been, we actually had, did you have a concern about that property? Because we did have.
Yes.
Planning go out. Yeah, we had regional planning go out. They were doing some work there, and they were issued a notice of violation, but that particular owner is complying with regional planning, and so that's why I didn't report on it, because if they're complying, that's all we're asking for. Basically, we just want people who move into our neighborhood, owners of new property, and if they're going to be doing work, we want them to follow the rules. We want them to get a permit. We want them to have inspections, because if they don't, it brings a risk to the neighborhood. So if someone does electrical work without approval and without inspection, we don't know if it was done properly. So if there's a fire because they didn't do it properly, we are all affected by that. So
Very
that's
much
all.
so. Yeah.
So that particular property I didn't report on because the owner is complying.
Oh, good, good. And I was also just curious and excited about is a possible business, but that we may be able to patronize, but I don't know if that's been answered yet. If we know what the business is.
Yeah, not yet. I don't, yeah.
Okay. And then I had a question about, this is going to be a long standing, maybe over the last 5 years. And I don't know if I may have missed out on knowing what the county allows, but that home on 5114 Overdale, if you're walking, that would be east on Northridge. It's right across from the church. It's just that construction, they have scaffolding there. It's been going on maybe for the last 5 years, and nothing's been done. It's like construction has stopped for the last 5 years, at least since COVID, if not before. It's right on 2 doors down from the corner of Northridge and Overdale. It's on Overdale. And if you're driving on Northridge going east, right after Overhill is Overdale, I think. So you can see the house from your driving. You can see that it's been in construction and nothing's been done. It's like 2-story building, gray.
I'll have to take a look. I'm not familiar. Tony, are you familiar with that property by any chance?
I'm familiar. I think I'm familiar with it. Are you talking about, I think the front of it is on Honacrest. Is that what you're talking about?
No, this is going east of if we're on our block on Northridge, Northridge and Overhill, going east crossing over to the church, but on the south side of the street of Overdale and Northridge. Go 1 door down, and you can see their house has been standing there vacant, and no construction has been done over the last few years.
Those are the 2 buildings that the fireman owns?
No. She's talking about closer to Northridge. This is, it's not Overdale. It's the next street over. I think it's Marville or Marville.
Maybe Marville. Okay, maybe. Yeah, I get really confused by the street names. Marville, yes.
Yeah, that house, the neighbor that is fronting Northridge there, that's right next to it, contacted us some years ago about that. I'm not sure what happened. It's obvious to me that whoever's prosecuting that construction either ran out of money or, doesn't have the capacity to finish the project. We'll take a look at that and maybe report back to the group. But that's, unfortunately, I would put the Helen mentioned what I call the mini hotels on Overdale further south. you know, 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. This guy
Oh,
works for
yes.
the fire department. I mean,
Okay,
we know what that is. That's not
okay,
something that belongs in a single family neighborhood. And there's, you
right.
know, there's a few things that happen where folks start in wanting to build something and quickly realize they're either in over their head or didn't know what they were doing or got some bad advice. So we just have to find better ways to help avoid that on the front end instead of having to deal with it on the back end.
Okay, thank you. Because I wanted to at least bring it up before I contacted. Sovereign Design has a sign there on the fence. It is Marvell, thank you. And Derek Burnett's name is there, but I just wanted, before I contacted Derek Burnett, I wanted to find out if you all
You
already
should
know.
you should feel free, Hazel, and let us
Okay,
know what you find
okay,
out, and
yeah,
we'll
I'll
do
do that.
likewise.
Okay, very good.
It's always better when folks hear from multiple parties.
Yes,
So,
then they know that people are watching and wanting something done. Okay, very good. Thank you.
You know, one other thing, Daryl, I just wanted to mention on that property on 5748 Brynhurst, that property already has a letter of determination, which was signed by City of Los Angeles Department of Planning. And the council member has signed off on that project as well. So it will be a little bit of a tough nut to crack. You know, like I said, it's in a residential neighborhood, but it's a multifamily, well, I shouldn't even call it multifamily. It's basically an apartment building. It's, you know, 5 stories and it's 31 units. So, but that doesn't mean that we won't continue to work on it. But just a heads up to everyone. It's, even though it's for sale right now, which is interesting, these things have been issued on it, and those approvals are good for 3 years.
Whose district is that?
Marquise.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So that's all I have, Daryl.
Great, thank you so much. Any final questions for any of these issues that Angela brought up? No? Okay, good. I wanted to mention, had a conversation on some of the other projects that are up and coming. It's going to be a while for this project on Stocker, Stocker Street Creative. They asked us to make a presentation in our next meeting in July. So the team from Stocker Street Creative wants to present some designs in terms of where they are with that project. So look for them to participate then, and we can talk more details in the meantime between now and then about if we need to engage them for any additional information. Now let me talk a little bit about, well, first let me talk a little about the committees. When you guys hear the committee chairs and board members talk about some of these issues, I'd really love for you to find something that, you know, is interesting in or that you care specifically about because it affects you, and contact folks who are dealing with that and get involved. You can always use more folks in the Army to engage in some of the tasks to protect the interests of our fellow residents. So if you see something with regard to, you know, land use and housing that piques your interest, if you see something in terms of dealing with utilities, if you like to get involved in helping us be very creative in coming up with new ways to do fundraising, if you'd like to help us increase our membership, get members more involved, create social events that bring people together, those types of things, then get involved and let us know. And on membership, you know, look, folks, we got to talk some real serious conversation here and look at some numbers with regard to membership and this issue of non-in-person meetings and no person-to-person contact is hurting us, unfortunately, because we have so many people who are in-person people, who are check writing people, who are, let me come and talk to you and ask you when my dues are due because I'm not looking at no emails kinds of people. We have those. And so it's affected us. Now, let me just say this. I need everyone's help, all hands on deck. And this is going to be a little shocking to you. We changed to a calendar year dues system, where dues are now due every January 1. As of this past January 1 to date, we have 208 of our members who have paid through and are current. They're paid through January 1st, 2024, which covers all of 2023. So I need everybody's help to reach out to some of these folks who are not online. You may know them, they may be your neighbors, they may be your friends, they may be your relatives. But we're talking about 208 versus 705 versus 4,600. Those are the numbers that we need to talk about. There's 4,600 households, which is our universe of potential members. Okay. There's 705 registered members, registered voting members, which means they have made a commitment to pay dues as voting members. As a general member, being a part of the community, you're involved in the organization. But we need voting members to strengthen the organization institutionally and from a capacity standpoint so we can do more, have more impact, and minimize how much work each individual person has to do so that they don't get burned out. If you only got 10 people doing all the work, eventually they're going to get burned out. To the extent that folks are not engaging and aren't paying their dues, well, that's the double win. Okay. We understand that some folks just don't have the time. Respect that immensely. But please compensate us financially on the time that you're not able to donate to us, and we'll be very happy with that. So again, 705 versus 208. Now, we said we want to hire a membership coordinator to be more efficient as an organization, to service our members more effectively. I have been hesitant, to pull the trigger on that, only because I do not want to commit the organization to something that it can't fulfill, and I don't want to get someone involved as an employee for something that I'm not confident long-term we can sustain. And if this is going to be the norm of, I don't know, what is that, like 20%? Collection of member dues, then that's going to be an issue for us. So I'm opening the floor to see if anyone has any input with regard to that, any concerns about that. Have you gotten any feedback from folks about it? Are there some issues that we need to resolve that is an impediment for people? Anybody have any ideas? Everybody's talking at once because you didn't unmute, right?
Hello.
Go ahead. Christopher?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Let me ask you this. How often are the dues due? Is this an annual thing?
Dues are annual. We just shifted to a calendar year, so they're now due every January 1.
Okay. I know me and my wife definitely paid our dues. I don't remember when's the last one we did. But one idea that just comes to my mind just right now off top would be like, some sort of events, like every quarter, some sort of neighborhood event where we all come together in a physical space. And, something always ran through my mind is like, either we need like a neighborhood type of farmer's market or flea market type of environment that could get people to one area that'll spark some interest in them coming to that area. And then that's where you could talk to your members and kind of bring up, about dues and just having people checking in like that on a quarterly level.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying in addition to doing our general meeting, or are you saying as an association?
Well, I just think that, when you have to depend on people going online, checking their email, following up on email, listening to a voicemail, all those type of things, that's not like direct engagement. We need something where people are literally coming together in a physical space. Just like, it doesn't have to be that strict. Like, you know what I mean? It could kind of just be like, we're putting out these invites, we're telling you things that will be happening. Like, for instance, the way my mind is working when I think about this, let's say, like, for instance, that parking lot at that church next to Windsor Hills Elementary, I always looked at that because I grew up in View Park. I'm 45 years old, been here over 40 years. So I'm like, man, that always looked to me like a cool little spot to have like a little Saturday morning, Sunday morning, like flea market thing where, I kind of get to know my neighbors and, people come together and sell little things or, just to bring people together to kind of just so they could talk, have that little conversation. And those type of moments are good moments where you can, talk to people about dues and, community, people getting together to make things work. So I don't know.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that input. And let me just say, were you ever able to attend any of the community festivals you did at that particular location you were talking about by Windsor Hills Elementary?
You know what? Honestly, I haven't. I don't have any real particular reason. I mean, yeah, everybody's busy, but like I said, if I got the tap on the shoulder, either like, the day before or the week of, I would definitely put forth the effort to get over there.
I said it is because you brought that particular location up. Yeah. So we were doing, and that's part of what I'm talking about is the problem is that we were doing that before COVID.
Yeah. And
I think we got to get back to it. And we just, some of the folks in the membership have been hesitant to do so.
Yeah.
I think it's time, particularly if it's an outdoor event. Now the meetings indoor, people have been more hesitant about those. But I think if you're talking about doing something outdoors, people definitely won't have a problem with that. And even on indoor meetings, I think we at some point we got to get back to meetings in person.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's something I would totally come to, and I think it would be good just to, so people could kind of, shake some hands, see some faces, and just build from there.
Okay, Jesse and then Helen.
Yeah, I have thought about this quite a bit because I have a couple of friends who are always saying, well, we need to know about these things. Why don't you tell us? And I'm always going, all you have to do is go to this website and you can see it all. You can see all about it. But I'm beginning to think that we need, it's expensive. I was like a mailing, but mailings are expensive, or something where we have an annual canvas, kind of like when we were going around soliciting signatures for the View, an annual canvas where we just drop off hang tags to people to let them know that the association exists and to let them know how much dues are, to give them an address to send a check, because I also tried to find that for her and I just totally gave up. Now, the other thing is we do need to have a presence. And I know we used to, it's hard because so much has happened during the pandemic. But for instance, when we had the crops swap in Monteith, when people advertise and have a crop swap, it would be good to just have something that says, this is one of the things we do as a community. And if you'd like to join the community group, this is how you do it. I'm not so sure about quarterly events other than meetings, because those things are expensive to organize. And they're expensive. Right now, if all we have is 200 and some paying members, I don't know where the money's going to come from to sponsor any kind of real event. I think the money would be better spent on a hard copy hang tag to distribute to people. That's me.
Okay, that's a good idea. Helen?
There we go. So I'm agreeable with Christopher as far as the quarterly thing, but I think the quarterly thing we need to do is just the meetings in person. As far as an event, I really believe that if we look at July in reference to, we have a company that wants to come and do a presentation. Maybe if we now decide that we're going to have an in-person meeting, but we could have it outside, maybe check with the church and see if we could have it outside the church And then we will have a point in which we can start putting out material to make sure that everybody is aware of the meeting and post it, as well as put up a sign, something like our first in-person homeowners association meeting, be there. I think if we start with that, I believe that we can begin to build our membership back.
Okay, that's a good idea. Thanks, Helen.
Welcome.
Who else? Tony?
Well, I just want to say, I think those are great ideas, but I just want to make sure everyone knows that we have had 2 festivals. We have had meetings every 3 months, quarterly. Park Hills, we have the 2 festivals at Park Hills. And we are talking now, since COVID is lifted a little bit, of possibly a community pancake breakfast. So Helen as the chair and I have been talking about that, but I just wanted people to know that because of COVID, that's what's stopped the interaction with our neighbors.
Yes.
As far as the notifications for the meetings, we post signs throughout the community a week, 7 days prior to each meeting, every meeting, as well as notification on our various community websites, the Windsor Hills View Park Facebook page and Nextdoor, and of course the UHA sends out the notifications. As far as engaging new members and reminding residents of the organization, we've done at least, off the top of my head, 2 mailers, mass mailers, and provided all the information that has already been mentioned. So if John, was it 2 mailers or 3? I can't remember. I can't remember.
Oh, it's been a lot. I mean, you know, you're talking about going back to 2017. So
yeah, right. And it's expensive, but it was important enough that we knew we had to. So I just want everyone to know that it's that we've been trying our very best, but to also know that, you know, which I've said before, some people just choose not to participate. So it's not for our lack of trying. I just had to say this because it's, I mean, I think the board and the organization does a phenomenal job in requesting, you know, as much engagement as possible. And we're doing the best we can. This leads me to believe and to know how important it is to hire someone to help with the current board members, to help with the websites and to help with the office type duties. And, you know, and the accountant. And so that's why it's so important to strengthen the membership in order to have the funds to hire people, because we're growing.
Okay. No, these are all great suggestions, and I'm just looking in the chat here, guys, and some other good suggestions. And please make sure you peruse the chat, because there's ways that you can connect with folks who may be doing some things that you want to do and get involved with. I'm just seeing this one here about I'm the one who organized the crop swap at Monteith Park in March 2020 at the start of COVID. Who would like to organize one? I'm not familiar with it. Can you share more about that, Michelle?
Yes, I didn't do that much. As I said on the chat, I put a post on Nextdoor. I sent emails to friends, and everybody brought what they had in their garden. And that was very nice. I remember Jesse was there, but lots of people. And even somebody from Ladera Heights came, and that was really nice. But that would be good that UHA2 organize it, because that would be an advertisement for you also to be known to other people who don't know you.
Well, excuse my ignorance, but what is a crop swap?
We brought what we had in our garden, avocados, Swiss chard, lemons, oranges, put everything on the table at Montes Park, and everybody was taking what they wanted. It was free. That was just an exchange.
Is that Miss Bryant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Miss Bryant.
Hello, Tony.
Oh, she is absolutely wonderful.
I would have keep on doing it, but COVID happened, so we stopped. But I think that would be good that UHA2 organize it, because that would make you known from to other people.
Yeah.
So that's a little thing of nothing, no work, and very fun, and that would be a good advertisement for you.
Everyone who is down for helping us do this, I mean, basically what I'm concluding from all of this is folks saying, look, we got to get back out and engage people directly in person. I mean, you know, and I'm feeling that all the way around anyway, not just with our organization, but the society in general, particularly after this long rain. And, you know, California's, LA's worth of winter, if you ask me. So anyway, so I'm getting the feeling that people really think we need to kind of do that. So anyone who wants to work with us, and I'll let Helly and Tony kind of take charge on this. Anyone who wants to work with us on these types of events to get people back engaged again and get outdoors, do these kinds of things, whether it's at the crop swap at Monteith Park or whether it's what Christopher suggested. In addition to your ideas, I need your execution. I need your name and email in the chat. I'm sure we already have it as a member in the database anyway, but just make sure we have it, put it in the chat. If you're willing to do that, I'm going to ask Helen and Tony to get those names. Who's going to help us do this? We got to move from ideas to action. Okay, these are great ideas now. Let's implement them. All right, so if you're willing to help us out in implementing them, please put your name in the chat. And I'm getting ready to look at the chat right now to see if anybody responded.
Real fast, Daryl, because I know time is, you know, it's 20 minutes to 4, but you know, it's hard to realize January 2020 was the last general meeting that we had. So, you know, that's a long time to go for an organization like this that's dependent upon, you know, interaction and connecting neighbors. So people will support, you know, we will, you know, get back to where we were and surpass that. You know, you guys are doing a great job, but it's all about getting people to understand the concrete benefit that they get from being involved in, engaged with, and supporting UHA. And when they understand that and see that, that's the key. So whether that's, you know, regular activities, regular meetings, the annual festival, which of course was great, and a lot of people raved about that. So COVID really stuck it to us on, you know, stopping that. But, you know, whatever we can do to continue being a resource, that's the secret is there is no secret. It's just getting people to understand that we're here, we're a powerful force. They know who we are for sure. It's just, you know, getting people to reconnect and understand that. I'm done.
Thank you, sir. So thank you to Christopher, who put his name in the chat. And thank you to Jeff Harris, who put his name in the chat, and Jesse, who put her name in the chat to participate in this effort with their email. So make sure we get those, Helen and Tony.
Can I get a copy of the chat? Would you send me the chat?
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I'm writing everything down, but I thought it might be easier if I could
I'll put it to you afterwards. Yeah, we'll say
there's an icon in the chat at the bottom that's where you can send it to yourself, Tony.
Oh, Jesse, thank you. I see it. There it is right there. Thanks, Jess.
All right, great. So, so I really appreciate Karen Braxton also put her information. Carrie Braxton also put her information in the chat. So good. That's the kind of thing we need. We need folks to say, look, I'm going to get engaged. I'm going to help out. We need to come out of this COVID malaise and back into, our real self again. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. So we're going to do that. As a result of that, I'm going to leave the August 19th date for the Community Festival alive. We've been contemplating if we're going to cancel it or because right now it's tentative. And I'm not going to say we're going to cancel it yet. We're going to see if we can get these folks engaged that are going to help us out to actually implement this, so we can have what Christopher has been saying, at least one, maybe not quarterly, but at least one outdoor event where we can bring everybody together. But we'll see once we collect all these names and get everybody together and meet how much work we will be able to actually tackle. Okay, is your hand still up, Jesse, or that's just?
It's still up, but my own preference is for smaller events that a lot of people don't want to come to carnivals or whatever. But if we have a lot of smaller events where the name is out there, I think that would be a little more productive. That's my opinion.
I think, yes, that's what we were looking forward to, the smaller events, Daryl.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know you guys don't want me to do the community festival. I understand.
No.
We were just about taking that off the table. We probably should have been working on that months ahead of time. A large event like that.
But also, I want to get back to everything you're talking about is social media. And we have a problem with people who are not participating in that kind of thing. I don't. The only thing, I'm on Nextdoor and I'm on the computer, but I don't use a text phone, a smartphone at all. And people who are all involved in apps on Facebook and that kind of thing, that's only one segment of the population. And we need to get to other people. That's my position.
Yeah, I think that's been heard loud and clear. And I think that there's a number of ways we can do that. And we're already working on new signs. Obviously, you can imagine that the signs that we used to put up that Tony maintained at certain corners throughout the neighborhood, and we could just change the date of the meeting or the location of the meeting with the lettering on those basically easel setups. It's harder to do that when you're doing a Zoom link. Can't tell people come to this Zoom link. They can't click on a sign outdoors. So it's just been a little more challenging, but we're going to figure out a way to do some signs whereby there's an easier way that people can find out about the meetings, even if they can't link to something. If they see it outdoors and they're driving by, they may already have the email notification and just are not responding to it. And the outdoor sign may just kind of trigger them to attend the meeting. So we'll just do everything we can. We'll do those things, and we'll do the other smaller events that you guys are suggesting. And I think that'll help. And we'll slowly bring ourselves out of this COVID rut.
And don't forget about mass mailings, because they are highly effective, highly.
And we will do we'll definitely do another mass mailing. But we can, and also even with the drop-offs as well. And some people have said that they would do that in their own neighborhoods, take our information of accomplishments and the description of the organization and the request to join, and just kind of drop them off. So maybe we'll just have a big day where, same way Linda does and Dawn does the cleanup days, and just have a big day where everybody joins together and we're all going to go for a walk, and we're going to walk our neighborhood, and we'll make a big party out of it or something where, we could do that and do the mailing. Obviously, if we volunteer to do it and we're walking, then that's a cost we won't incur. Paying a vendor to do it will incur the cost of the printed material that we will distribute. But yeah, those are all great ideas. So I think that's fine. Let's just keep moving at it. The fact that we were able to get 208 of you to pay $100 is good, and it is an accomplishment as we've transitioned by doubling our rate. So we knew there would be some difficulty with that as well. So I'm sure there's probably some folks who are, just now realizing it or haven't been attending the meetings and still didn't even know it and see it, like, why is it $100 now? So there's probably a little bit of that going on. Number of different factors that may affect, the 208. And it's always been a discrepancy. Don't get me wrong. It's not just the pandemic. We've always had more members signed up than we had members who actually stay current. So it's not totally new, but it has gotten worse since the pandemic, of course. So, and that's fine. We just have to always know that we have to continue to work on improving and making sure that people know what we do and how it benefits them. Okay. Any final questions about membership or the process of generating new members and processing them? Any questions about that?
Hi, it's Hazel. Just a quick question. I was on our website just to look for some key points. If I do solicit, or if we do solicit our neighbors who we know in particular, what are the three major reasons you should join? If we all have the same messaging, that would be helpful. And that's all I wanted to say. And I think we do we have flyers already and pamphlets for signing up and paying? I mean, I would actually be fine about getting a check from our neighbors. I don't know if you take, or just directing them to the website to use their credit card, if the website isn't too hard to use.
Yeah, both. We both collect checks, and if people are so inclined to pay online, encourage them to do that as well.
Okay.
Also have a letter.
Hmm?
I think we do need an updated letter, Daryl.
Yeah, what I'm going to ask is that all of these folks who have volunteered to work with us on this,
yes,
this is what we're going to ask them to do. Put all of your heads together, look at what we have now, and come up with something that's better. Yeah. What are those 3 points that you guys all agree we need to emphasize in our new marketing piece, right? That people are going to respond to, that's going to get their interest. Figure out what that is, and let's agree on it. And let's create the new, and let's plan the events that we're talking about. We can do this. Who else had a question about stand up?
I think that's Glenn.
That's Glenn.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, guys. I was just wondering, you may have already done this, but has there been any membership booth at the farmers market on Saturdays? I think it would be kind of helpful for the farmers market, generate more buzz in the neighborhood because we're right here, but also hopefully gain a few members.
And which farmers market is this?
It's the one on Crenshaw, just down Stalker, and it's usually at the Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw Plaza.
Oh, the plaza. Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there still a part? Is this the one that used to be in front of the theater, or the one that used to be in the Sears parking lot, or I don't know where it is anymore.
I think they moved it over a block or two, but it's still happening as far as I know.
It's moved to Slauson and Crenshaw. See, okay.
Okay, but we'll take note of that. So we should add that to the list of ideas that this group is going to evaluate and determine which ones they want to tackle first as a priority. Those are all great ideas. Thank you for that. Doing the farmers market, that's great. Someone said UHA 2 should be more present on next door. If there's anyone here who is often present on next door, then we would love for you to be our ambassador and represent us more frequently. I'm on there sometimes. Other members I know, Tony's on there sometimes. So we chime in, but again, if someone is already on there, rather than trying to assign some responsibility, go get on next door and represent us. If you're already on next door anyway, a lot, it would be helpful that you could kind of be our eyes and ears and voice on next door. Because we have a Facebook community group page, a lot of people are active there. But they're not all necessarily members. They're people even who live in the community necessarily. Okay, so.
I would, oh, I'm sorry. I
Go
didn't
ahead.
mean, I monitor Nextdoor. And so I'm not that proficient in posting. Every now and then I'll post something, but this is the reason why I think it's so important that we hire a webmaster for our own, and then that person could be in charge of posting all events and any other information that we want disseminated on the various websites. Just that's just what they'll be doing, handling the accounts, and just be multi-talented and try to get someone that, that can also handle the websites. I think that's, I really do think that's one of the main things, aside from what we've been discussing, but that's another issue. And Michelle, you're right about Nextdoor. I've tried to post a couple of things, and aside from just commenting, but I try to post flyers and I've had trouble. So I think we need to hire somebody.
Okay, so again, we started this conversation out by talking about hiring someone. And let's focus initially, I think, on optimizing membership to ensure that we have the institutional capacity long-term to do these things. But yes, definitely, Tony, we actually are evaluating some web designers for a redesign of the site. But some of that will involve setting up systems whereby it'll be a lot easier from an automated standpoint to promote to some of these platforms. Okay. All right. So anything else on membership? That's it, right? That's
Yeah,
all.
Daryl, this is Sharon Paul. I had a couple of things I wanted to, and I'm not quite sure if this is, how we would do this, but there may be family members out there who would like to join, but maybe there's a hardship financially at this time. So, how can we take that in consideration when we're looking at membership? If there is a hardship, we could still get them, and I'm not saying that we finance them forever. I'm just saying that in order to help them to still be participants, but then yet and still, maybe there's somebody that can help sponsor them, or a team of members who can sponsor family members who may have hardships at this time.
I mean, we can certainly create a fund whereby those who are more fortunate than others may be willing to submit to that fund, and that could be a reserve fund for those folks who are falling on hard times and can't pay their membership. I mean, that's an idea. I don't know how folks feel about that.
Yeah, it's just something that I thought about, and we can, just want to put it up there. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is that, for as far as if we don't have the funding to hire someone to do our social media or web pages at this time, maybe this is something that we can get a college intern who may be looking for something to put on their portfolio as they move forward, maybe a senior that can help us. And so this may be a way that we can do the, internship and engage, some of our social media experts who are mainly in college to help us out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I mean, and I think, we actually do fairly well at sharing information via social media. The issue is, it's a very disparate audience of people who are spread out and are not as necessarily easy to reach. Everybody's not on Facebook, everybody's not on Instagram, everybody's not on Nextdoor. And to the extent that you used to be able to use those platforms and reach hundreds or thousands free, you can't really do that anymore. The algorithms are set up in a way now where, you'll get, 15, 10, 20, 25 people organically But if you want to reach a mass audience via social media, you're going to end up paying. And we've done some of that to promote. So like this meeting, we promoted. So we may put the meeting on our Facebook page, and then we may boost that post on Facebook so that it reaches the entire radius of our service area, right? And hopefully we're capturing people with those particular communications. So we'll continue to do those. But yes, interns, I definitely agree with. We should definitely try and get some interns involved. I know Tony suggested that for a newsletter at one time, right, Tony?
Yes.
If you have any interns that you want to suggest, or a program that we should engage at a college to request them, then let us know. Sharon.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy, because I know we have LMU, you know, Loyola right over here, and my grandson is going there at the time. Right now he'll be graduating next month. But I can definitely look into that and see, UCLA, USC, just, I'll do some probing and get back to the group about that.
Okay. All right, so it's almost 4. So let me just say that I think it's been a good meeting, and I think that so far it's been a good year. There's a lot that we have been able to accomplish on the land use front. There's a lot that we've been able to accomplish in terms of making sure that these park projects, are properly reviewed. There's been a lot that's been accomplished in terms of working to improve the traffic safety systems in our community. I know, Charles, that you got your hand up. Before we close out, I did want to give you an opportunity to share with us what's the latest updates on the oil field and any other environmental matters. I know you sent an email. I wasn't able to post their presentation, but why don't you tell us about it, what they shared with us, and what the latest is.
Okay, thank you. Very quickly, I know time is against us. First, let's just deal with the air monitoring update. That's going to start in the second quarter. So anytime moving forward, that's where they have fixed and mobile sites, and they measure the air quality around us. I posted a link in the chat where you can get more information from CARB. Where it says here is broken, but I posted the actual link a little bit below that. Now let's talk about the health study update. That's tentatively will start towards the mid of May, so in about a month's time. What we can expect is that they're going to send out some letters letting the communities know that that they might receive an invitation to participate. So they're going to randomly select people from various stratas, people who live within half a mile, people who live within half a mile and a mile, and people who live within a mile and a mile and a half. They're randomly selected. They're going to send out the letters. If you decide to participate, and I would urge everyone who gets that letter to participate, then you'll be asked to fill out a survey, which will, it's a survey, and it's going to ask you to provide some information on your health and other factors. It's totally anonymous. It's highest confidentiality. You can do that online or you can mail it in. And then they're going to ask that you take part in some biometric testing. That'll be blood pressure testing, and it will be a lung function testing. That's going to be done by a trained professional at a nearby site, either Jim Gillian or the one on 62nd Street, that center there. So that hasn't been finalized yet, and the dates haven't been finalized yet, but the mailing should start in about a couple of weeks, and hopefully we can start the testing in, say, mid-May. Incidentally, they would like us, the UHA, to facilitate sending out the initial flyers to let everyone in the population, our population, know that the testing is coming up. So we may be asked to send out some mailing ourselves or give them some ideas. In a nutshell, that's it. I can give more clarification if anyone needs it.
Thank you, Charles. It's valuable info.
No? Okay, well, it's 4:02. Assuming that there are no other new business items that anybody needs to bring up or any final questions, I am going to move that we adjourn this second general meeting of 2023.
Sharon Powell does have a hand up. I don't know if that's a remnant.
Are you still up, Sharon, or that's from old?
That is a remnant. I'm sorry. I'll take it
Got
down.
it. No, I got it.
Thank you.
So I second that motion.
Second that motion, all in favor? Raise your hand so I can see you. Oh, some of you are not on camera.
Mutual consent.
Okay, it appears that the motion is passed and that we'll be adjourning this meeting. Appreciate everybody's time today on this wonderful Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your day. And let's follow up on these items we talked about. I will be sending the chat out to those of you who need to engage on this, okay?
Okay.
All righty. Have a good day.
Okay. You
Thank
too. Thank
you.
you, Daryl. Thank you, board.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great job, everybody.
Really, it really was. It was great
Yes.
to hear from Miss Bryant. Hadn't seen her for a while.
Is that the one who
Yes.
I took home from Post
Yes.
TV?
Hi, Gwen.
Yeah. Yes,
What,
Daryl.
What'd you call those drinks, John? At
Some
Post
kind of
TV?
torpedoes or tornadoes or something.
It was a hurricane, but he called it something else.
Would you call him John? Oh, never
Oh,
mind.
you talking about the E?
Hurricane, that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the E40 word slurricane, right?
That was a nice Christmas event, holiday event, I should say. Hi, Gwen.
Yeah, well, it's things like that that people really miss. That's
I know,
really,
but
Gwen, you on mute.
yeah, we're gonna get. But you've been saying for a while that we're gonna get to it as soon as we can. I think you were going. A matter of fact, I think you were gonna have a meeting, and then we got that notification from the county last year that they were buckling down again.
yeah, what happened? Okay.
Yeah, because you've been talking. You talked about it last year. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had an uptick.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Okay. All
I
right.
think it's gonna be great to get together again.
Oh, yes.
By the way, I'm trying to stop the oh, wait a minute, stop recording. I can stop that, but Daryl, you
Oh,
may
there
have
you
to
go.
give me the host again for me to stop the YouTube thing because I don't
Oh,
have,
okay.
or you can do it. Click on more and see if you can stop it.
Okay.